When a rhino is immobilized, its body temperature increases. This can be fatal. Immobilization usually takes place in the cooler periods of early morning or late evening. With this rhino, the seriousness of the damage is such that it's been immobilized during the heat of the day, and every attempt is made to keep it cool and alive.
Is it going in okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 40.8 charge.
This rhino was successfully treated, but was replaced by another rhino for translocation purposes a few days later. Where relocation and complete protection of the rhino are not possible or too expensive, the Zimbabweans have been looking at other alternatives. Dehorning is very controversial, but the Zimbabweans are using this technique not just as a way to protect the animal, but to explore ways of farming rhino horn on a commercial basis, so that the animal can pay for its own protection. In the early hours of the morning, a helicopter flies off in search of white rhino in Hwange National Park. Dr. Mike Koch, a vet from Zimbabwe's Department of National Parks and Wildlife Management, leads a small team who experimentally dehorn white rhino, the most vulnerable species of rhino in Zimbabwe. The work is done quickly and, in spite of appearances, with great precision. This is to minimize trauma and limit temperature rises in the immobilized animal. The horn itself is like human hair and regrows on the rhino. The idea of dehorning is first to protect the animal by removing the reason for its persecution, and secondly to observe its regrowth over a period of 3 or 4 years and the behavioral and reproductive consequences of the dehorning process. Zimbabwe argues that rising costs and relative failure ultimately to protect the rhino in Africa means that a project like this should have a trial run.
Janet, you got a time? Okay, it's going in now. Okay, put the radio. All right. The breathing is increasing, the ears are moving, which means the animal's beginning to arouse. You need to wake up. Here, guys, quick. Okay, all right, let's just come back. Janet, can you get it? You got it? Okay, got it. That's all right. Not too smooth. Just make sure that these barrels still fit. There's one there. Because sometimes they actually, when they hit the rhino, you can see they bulge here.
Bulge, yeah.
You can actually see this has a slight bulge in it. So that's the narcotic. That's the main immobilizing drug that's used to knock the animals down. But that's very dangerous to man. It's about 10,000 times more potent than morphine, which is a very good painkiller in man. So we have to be very careful with it. And then we use a
full mixing back?
Yeah. And then we use a sedative as well. And this drug here, which is called Hylase, which helps increase absorption time. So the animals go down a lot quicker. So we mix the drugs together here and it dissolves up. And it increases absorption in the tissues. It makes it much more rapid. So the animal's less stressed and things like that. And then we put some antiseptic on the needle to... these rhino are very susceptible to getting abscesses and that from dart wounds. So we try and minimize that by making the needle as clean as possible. And then we just put it in the barrel of the gun. It's ready to go.
Once more in the late afternoon, the helicopter goes searching for more white rhino. Mike's assistant, Janet, takes vital measurements and records information on the immobilized animals. This time they've found a mother and her calf. Measurements are taken of body size, chest, girth and head.
Okay, they're not just... Do we have the reversal together, Mark?
You're not stuck right here.
Okay, I'll do that.
The cut wound is sealed with tar after the horn is removed. What can possibly justify such humiliation of these magnificent animals in such an obscene spectacle? This calf is the 77th, its mother the 76th, the last rhino to be dehorned in the current program. If it could be sold, the horn taken from all the rhino in the project would fetch over $500,000. But the international ban on trade in ivory and rhino horn persists, so this experiment will probably only yield data.
We're going to reverse this little guy and he'll run off, all right? So let's just move out of the way here.
So let's go ahead right now and take this one real fast. He's a 77. He's a 77.
Okay, let's move. Let's just go. If you run off, there's always a chance that they might not get back together. And so it's probably better to, she's getting up now. It's probably better to knock them down. Less stressful for them. They don't have any enemies really other than man. But these little guys, lions and hyenas, will take them at this age, you know. Rhino mothers are not that good at taking care of the young. We hope that this operation will be a success, dehorning the rhino. We hope with these two we've just done that the mother stays alive and that the youngster grows up to be a big rhino and the poachers don't poach him.
This horn can still sell abroad for over $600 an ounce, twice the value of gold. At the end of day 9 of the relocation operation, our scouts relax before the final attempt to find the rhino tomorrow morning.
I
think the horn would hurt the rhino, and all the scouts think so too. The rhino uses the horn to dig for roots and seeds, which it eats. That horn is used for defense against other rhino and also to fight off other animals. It's also used in other ways. The horn is its hands, the rhino's hands. If the horn is removed, well, the rhino will otherwise just die. If the poacher sees a hornless rhino, he might not see the horn is removed and shoots. It will die.
These men are deeply involved in their work, and when they work together, they're more than just a team. They work together like a family. They share such a great deal of their time together, they've developed a strong bond of friendship as well as understanding. And this extends into their family lives.
Kana tiri patrol umu tinotaura nyaya dzebasa. Tinadzo nyaya dzatinotaura dzedu zishomanana. Asi zvakawandisa totaura dzebasa.
On patrol we talk about work. We talk about other things, yes, but mostly we talk about work, advising each other and sharing ideas. Going over the previous patrol, checking our success and failures. This helps improve our performance. We communicate with the station, keeping them up to date with our work. But mostly we talk about work, educating each other to guard against laziness and quarreling. You see, if we are not on the move, we become weak. One becomes foolish, and the forest hates fools. Turning back, it is rare. We have been long on the job and we don't mind. Anyway, we know we go out for 14 days. so all we do is to wait for the 14 days to pass. We do not stay at one place. We leave the base at 6 and come back around 4. Therefore, we do not have time to think about home. We will be thinking about winning. Otherwise, our work will be meaningless. We want something useful to make our work worthwhile.
Kana ndiri musango takazorora takararama avamanheru so.
When I'm resting, lying down in the forest at night, there are times that I think of my wife. But long periods like 2 weeks.
2 weeks yakanyanyisa kureba. Isisi varume so aumboregera kuti ufunge kumba.
2 weeks is a long time for us men. You cannot help but think of home. It is obvious in the mornings. Then you could think that if you were at home, everything would have been all right. Though it does not usually happen that I think of home when I'm in the bush. Sometimes I'm out for 21 days. Then I yearn for any woman. It could be my girlfriend whom I think of. It only happens when I'm sleeping and not when I'm working.
Caleb, Million and Dingani reflect on the warmth of their homecomings. They live with their families next to the park's local office and headquarters in the Chete Safari area. Here, a small, tightly knit community of people live a tough life, for this station is regarded as one of the hardest in Zimbabwe. Here, there is total support amongst and between the families and their men. There are no strangers in this community, and nobody is alone. It is worth sparing a thought for the poachers' families. Their children are still waiting. The Scouts' work and their family life are interdependent because of their environment and the close community they live in. The entire family supports what these men do. Waiting is hardest for the mothers and wives who worry about the safety of their men whilst on patrol.
My wife helps me a lot in my work, especially when she goes shopping, let's say in Mwange. She may come across someone in the bus with a lot of meat in a sack. She then comes to my workplace and tells me about the men in the bus. From that, we can tell which area was poached and sometimes the people involved in poaching. She also listens to people talking. She also tells me if she hears gunfire from where there should not be any. We then prepare and go to investigate. Sometimes it is just legal hunters, not poachers.
Meanwhile, back at the rhino relocation operation headquarters, the morning's work has yielded no rhino. The atmosphere is tense. They know this is the 10th and final day of the relocation operation, which has already cost over $50,000. Today is their last chance, and they must find the elusive rhino.
Okay. That rhino you're talking about, maybe it could have moved from there to this area.
Right, okay.
Since there's still plenty of water.
Still plenty of water on the Sumo.
Then if you fail to find anything here...
Then at least we've cleared that side, then we can switch across to the eastern half.
Towards Chete.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Nickel Marana.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's...
Do you think if I look again, I may pick up something on the peninsula?
Try it.
There was a cow and a calf there.
On the peninsula?
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
A year ago, sir, but I gather there were shots heard in that area.
You know, one of the things I do know is that rhino go onto it and then come off it.
Yeah.
So sometimes there'll be nothing on there for a month or 2 months, but then sometimes there'll be something on there for a week or two. So it's worth checking. It's easy to check as well, I think. I don't know how much canopy is on those trees there.
Not much.
Okay.
Later in the afternoon, the observation plane is airborne for the last search. Albie spots other animals. but still no rhino. The area is parched and the water sources virtually all dried up. The rhino, it's feared, have left the area in search of water. By now, Butch is very depressed. That it has failed has come as a shock, but that is all the money spent for this year.
Yeah, Mike, I think our problem is the water supply in the area. It seems our waters are now on the outskirts of the land. The animals tend to go to some other authority. For sure. And maybe we try next year to have a joint operation where when we...
The failure to relocate on this project is not an isolated incident. The rhino is often very hard to find and therefore very hard to protect. It is important to remember that the rhino's protection has to be financed, and if international organizations are going to retain their credibility over their stance on wildlife conservation, then maybe they have an obligation to pay for it.
Tiri kuchijarire forest tichitsvaga zvipembere. Ita basa rokubata zvipembere.
We were in Chizarira Forest on a rhino relocation project. We were doing the groundwork looking for spool. When we came across a spool, we radioed the aircraft in the sky, telling them that the rhino was in a gorge. We would then flash it out into the open, and the aircraft would then locate and capture it. That is what we were doing in Chizarira Forest.
We did not see any rhino in Chizarira because there are very few. The rhino that had been in the area had moved on elsewhere.
But now they tell us they may face more than just bullets.
But bari mapocha iwo ndo tinombowana vane mishonga.
Among the poachers, yes, we find some who have charms, bottles stuffed with herbs, pills and other things. Hyena droppings and lion droppings are included. Those who know say it is magic, and the poachers themselves say it is magic. Because the lion is a fierce beast, and anyone who sees him is terrified. He starts shaking and cannot shoot. Some like us, we only use pills.
Chinondifaza mudepartment medu ndichokuti mune mhuka
What pleases me is that we look after animals that attract visitors from other countries who come to see them. Some come to buy the animals, leaving us money. They also come to see other things too, flowers, birds, and all those and more. If the department earns money, we are happy because we get a little for our families too.
When we meet poachers, I can be shot. I volunteered for the job and was accepted. Yes, I could get shot. If I die, well, that's it. The poacher does not hang about. He knows that if he meets a game scout, he will be shot. He will die.
I have killed 2 poachers.
I shot 3 poachers.
I've killed 5 poachers.
Wherever the money will come from, Caleb, Million and Digani will continue to succeed with their essential work.